So this is Baruch here. I'm at the Tikkun Elevator Kollel, and what we're doing now, we're going to look at the Zohar and the Parsha. The thing about this, the problems that the Jewish people have, is that to a great extent, we're so many of us, and we're scattered in so many different places and so many different cultures. But by the same token, many of us have lost our inside. In yeshivas, they call it a taich, an inside. Core of the Jewish people is Hashem Yisbarach. And then the gift, the tremendous gift of the Torah that allows us to be close to Him and to have that bit of eternity in our lives that's possible. Well, the place where you really see this is in the Zohar, the regular Zohar. We learned the Ari on the side, and we've been through so much of the Ari and seen so much of it, because without it, it's really not possible to understand the Zohar completely of all of what it wants to say, because there are multiple depths here. Let's come over here, and this is a parsha we read last year. This time I'm going to try to read it across the top. Just read across the top all through the whole sequence, and then see how it comes out, and then we'll try to pick up the Matok with the Mash as much as possible, time permitting. So the Zohar said, V'yishma Yosef Cohen Midian. Yosef was YISRO was the Cohen from Midian, Chosin Moshe's father-in-law, as Kol Asher Asa, everything that had happened that Hashem did. Rabbi Cheskia, Pasach V'Omer, Rabbi Cheskia began the conversation in the yeshiva, and he said this, V'yisa Aaron as Yadav. And Aaron lifted up his hands. Kesiv Yado, his hand. Chad, one hand. Actually, it's pronounced Yadav, his hands, but it's actually Yad. It's really, the word itself is really singular, not plural. Chad, one. Begin to boil Arama Yamina al Smala. And the reason why we say that is we want to lift up the right side over the left side. Kimna Raza. So we have explained the secret of the right versus the left previously. Ashkach vecha b'sifra de Shlomo Malka. So I found over here in the words of Shlomo HaMelech, the King Solomon, the kol man da'orin yadoi la'ela, any man who lifts up his hand up above, v'lav even b'tzalusin de v'usav, if it's not supplicating or begging Hashem, if it's not praying to Hashem, hai ihu barnash, this lataya ma'asara shultanim mamonon. So he says that Hai Ihu, this man who lift up his hands towards heaven, and he's not praying, he's not praising. A Barnash the Islataya, who was cursed with 10 different rulers, or being subjugated in 10 different ways, mamonim, that are appointed to rule over this person. So these rulers that were in that, this is the word ear, let's say the ear means a city, I'm not sure what he means here. Even Asara Adar de Mamanan al Parisa de Yoda Naela, these are the same 10 that are appointed over the spreading of the hands that coming from above. Lanatla, that in other words, it's the hands spreading downwards, because he's going to say Lanatla the Hakul Salusa in order to take the prayer. Olahaku Birchasa are that blessing. And they bring it chela in its strength, in other words, in its purity, they bring it up fresh, in order to glorify the holy name of Yisbarach, which is Kaddish and blessed, mitata, from down below. Kaven, the mitata is Baruch, because the place that brachos have to come from is down below. That means us. We're the ones that have to bring this up. Kaven, the mitata is Baruch mahachu perisha the yadin la'elo, keden is baruchu ma'elach v'yisyakar mikal sitrin. So therefore it becomes blessed from up above, and it becomes a glory from all sides. Be'ilan asar v'manin. So these 10 different, let's see, the v'manim usually means like an angel, which is like let's say like this is a sort of a living pathway to the world beyond. Ve'ilin asar mamanim zumunim l'anatlach me'inin berkon de la'ela v'la'arakoch l'tat. So they take those brachos that are coming up and going upwards and to send them down below. So it's like a revolving door. From the bottom, the blessing comes to Hashem. And then as a result of that, the bracha comes back down from Hashem to the person or to the situation. Because it says, and I will bless them. Begin kach yistamer bar nash b'shanta diyarim yada da'ela. But in any case, person has to be yistamer. This is like shomer. Person has to be careful, cautious. B'shanta diyarim yada da'ela, when he points his hands upward. The mehevi b'tzlul of the birchim of v'uzas, that it has to be either a supplication, a prayer, or a blessing. Below yarim yadach of the bagana, so don't just put it up for nothing. Begin to ilin the sare ilin zminin misaren the gabe haku parisha parapariso the yadin. Begin because the ilin the sara, the 10 that we were talking about, which are really prepared. He said, I don't know if there's a difference between the two, but they're prepared to take your prayers. But now, instead of taking your prayers, I think he's saying that this is like a complaint. But we have to read the Matok with God's help and understand a little bit better. So let's read again. Begin kach yistamer b'baramenat b'shavta diyarim yada da'ela. When a person lifts up his hand or takes his hand pointing up, the mechav b'tzlor b'bechon b'usa, that it has to be in some kind of prayer form. Below yarim yada the begana, but not for nothing. Begin to ilan the sare ilan zminin. These 10 that we're talking about, they're ready. Because when you lift up your hands, this has some kind of a supplication idea involved in it, and as a result of that, it draws down these 10 from up above. Now, the 10 up above, if they're receiving a bracha, etc., and prayer, that's one thing. But if they're not, and it's just a hand is going up, then they're looking to really, let's see, what else? If it's for nothing, if he's just doing it for no reason. Even the Sarah Latian lay, they curse this person, but Ma'asim v'arbaim of Samyach Levati. They curse the person with what? B'masan 200, v'arbaim, and that's 40, and for 248 the curses. V'hai ichud dechsivve, and this is what is written in regards to this. They have klala v'tovechu, that there is love for cursing, and it is brought. But then ruach misa'avach v'sharya inan yadin. So then what happens is that a ruach, a spirit of tuma, of uncleanliness, comes onto those hands. Dihu arche the mishrei al asach rekanya, because this is its way, arche, the mishrei, to dwell al asar de rekanya, on a place that's empty. That's an interesting idea, if I can understand it. Read it again. The inan arche the mishrei al asach rekanya. So that is they're now searching for this bracha or this prayer. It's not there. It's the asach rekanya. It's an empty place. And they can't get a blessing in that kind of place. So he's going to say, if there's no blessing, which means like to me, like a flow of goodness coming from Hashem. If you're not in a position to be able to see this, say that what happened because it's empty, there's no blessing coming from you. It always starts at the bottom, the tata la'ela, from the bottom to the top. Then it comes la'ela, the tata, then it comes from the top to the bottom. That's the revolving wheel of happiness and cycle. Valdoa, and in this way, the mevarach le v'inun mis'arin the gabe haku prisu. So he said the yadin equal the begana, the begana. So he says that we're talking to a person about here that's really just wasting up his hands. They curse that person. I didn't want to read it because it's really repetition of a slightly different version. So and then ruach mis'ava sharya al inan yadin. Then there's a ruach of tuma that dwells in the person's hands. The ihu orche the mishrei al asar rekanaya, because this is its way to dwell on the place that is empty. Begin kach, then this reason, The person has to be careful at that time. Don't just lift up your hands. He's saying like this, when you lift up I'm trying to understand this. He's saying that there is a positive, very positive way that when you lift up your hands begging to Hashem, praying to Hashem, praising Hashem for all the goodness that He's done for us and all the life that He gives us. When you're doing that and your hands are going up and you're really reaching for Him, He reaches back down to you. But what happens if you're lifting up your hands and there's no words? Then the action is following, that is the action from up above, is following your action down below, but there's nothing there. This is caused, as we says, this is a mechanism to make cursing. So whether it's in praying or blessings or supplications, as we said before, so don't do that. Don't just don't lift up your hands. So it's written like this: Harimosi Yadei shall I lift up my hands al Hashem, Kael Elyon, the Messiah Gabimba Bitzlu. So we try to say the descendant Harimosi Yadei, I lift up my hands to Hashem, Kael Elyon, the upper God, the God of above. The Messiah Gaminim Bitzlu, that it would say translated that the person that Moshe's hands, when he lifted up his hands, he was praying. That's how to lift up your hands. That's very interesting. Now, the thing is this is something I think could be misunderstood. I'm not sure. We'll see the Matok Midrash later on, God willing. The high parisa the yadin. So when you separate your hands, you bring up the hands up. Razin Elohim, it is Razin Elohim. All kinds of upper inner secrets take place there. The shanta is parisha is the konfu la'ela, that is that you separate your hand. Now is parisha, I'm not sure the separation is, but he means lift them up. There's the konfu and have them erect, going upwards, your hands looking upwards. Okir barnash the kucha berichu bekama razim eloin. So this causes the beginning into that person from the Kodesh Baruch Hu. Bekama razim eloim, all different kinds of secrets are going into this. A question of what are they? I don't know. So it appears. Liyachda, to draw it together, raza, the secret, the exer of the Ten Commandments. I think that's what he means, the Eser Amiran, because this is PARSHAT YISRO. Begin the Yachta Kula in order to make it all into one. That making oneness is the way to be able to make the proper blessing to Kodesh Baruch Hu, the proper blessing. Va'achse liyachta raza the retichin penimim, and then va'achse liyachta, you bring together raza the retichin. Let's look down at the Matok and see if I can get the word retichin. I don't have it. I forgot it, or I don't know it. So he says v'kama razim eloyin. Achse liyachta raza the eser miran. Begin the yachta kula v'izbarchu shema kadisha kedukachazi. Va'achse liyachta raza the retichin. So this is the very end. Yachta raza the retichin, who roy the yached sod merkavo. So retichin, that's what I thought was a cover. So let me translate it now. I got it now. I'm sorry. So he says, coming back to the land of Achse, and we'll see that will come out, will appear this the yachd of raza the retichin, to bring together the secret of the chariots penimon that are the most inner. Now, what does this mean? This is the secret he's saying on the outside, and before we see the Matok Midrash. So he says on the outside, by lifting up your hand in prayer, you're causing a yichud to take place of the chariots. Now, what are the chariots? What is it meant by chariots? This is a guy out there with the horses in a chariot. So the chariot is the golden vessel of communication. This is the chariots this is the deepest level of the malachim, the angels. What we call angels are actually the agents of carrying up and down carrying from we are on the outside into the inside, where is located the Ein Sof Baruch Hu. So those are those chariots, penimoin, that are on the inside, the most penimistic. Retichin de levar, but also there's chariots on the outside. V'di Yisbarach Shema Kaddish is called Sitrin, so that the Kodesh Baruch Hu should be blessed in all of the different sides, meaning in all the opposites. The inside and the outside is another opposite, like male and female. So he says, everything come into oneness. Like one, Ela Vitata, the lower world and the upper world. Pasuk for Omer, so began, and he said like this: V'lo yirol panoi rekom. You will not, do not let me come before me empty-handed. Da ihu raza de zakifa de etzbo, and this is the secret of the lifting up of the fingers. Kadzafik lon bar nash la'elo, when you have your hands and you bring them upwards, now they're in your fingers. He said, the boy, the lo is this dakfa, but rikanya, that when you do that and you hold your fingers up high like that. Now, we're not talking about, say, like we have other things that have to do with our hands. We're talking about over here, just commonly just using your hand and not say anything. He said that is not any prayer or not anything that's trying to be communicated, because the movement of the hands, he's saying, is also triggers a movement from up above. So you want to be in a situation where you're fulfilling what the up above wants. The da'ihu raza the zakifa the zban kadzafik lon bar nash la'ela, when you lift up your fingers up above. The bar de lo is dakvacha berikanya, but don't lift them up for nothing. Ela b'tzlu b'usil b'brikon, that's when you do it. And on this you say, don't, and you will not see my face empty. So it doesn't say below Yirol the Fonda, you will not be seen before me. It's not said Elaponai, my face. So Rosa the Zakifa the Tzboin, so the secret of the raising up of the fingers. Below it's strichel the zakvach the begon the chokama the idma, so that it's not necessary to reach them up for nothing. Don't do it like that, as we had said. Now there's more to this, and we'll be looking at as much of it as we can as we go along. One more paragraph, and let's see if we're getting through the whole idea. Now we talked about these three ruling angels. Let's call them all angels, and as I said before, I look at angels, he said the word chariots refers to that same thing. The angels are pulling this chariot. We have different kinds of understanding of what it's about, but what is it about? Be going from the world in which we live, which is purely physical, to the worlds that were within that manifest the light of God in a different way, in a much higher way, like the Olam Yitzira. So we're taking it up, Yitzira and Bria and the Tzilus, and ultimately to the Most High. Asar Shalit and the Ga'amna, so these 10 rulers that we talked about, these ruling angels. Inun Eser and Miron the Santa, they also go along with the 10 commandments down below. But Raza, which one? Asar, in this secret, he has a different gear, so we'll read it anyway. Asar Shaltanim Amanim the Ga'amna, so there are 10 Shlitim, rulers or commanders. So they are appointed down here in our world, in this secret, the Asvi and Rishimin, that they should make an impression here. Now what that means, like you had, in other words, they should take the pleading that you make down below, take it all the way up to the top of the wheel and bring it back down to you, so that it should be impressed down here. The image of what is up above should be impressed down here. And originally, they really sustained themselves by the fact of lifting up the fingers. V'chol calls Sitra the Kedusha, so therefore all the different aspects of Kedusha is Ached Le'ela L'Charoma. It's all lift up, it's all joined together as you are lifting it up. Keden calls Sitrin Achronim is Kafim Kula, then you see that all of the other sides, all of them then, are all humbled. V'odan the Malka Kedusha, that is all the other side, all the forces of the other side, and they give thanks to the Holy King. This is Baruch Fleischman. That's my reading. I'm not saying that I got it all right, because we're going to look into it more. We're trying to learn this. This is the Tikkun Elevator Kollel.